Aluminium foil. It's a staple in our kitchens. We don't think twice about using it, but should we? Well, some of our viewers certainly think so. We received several emails on the issue. There are also many articles online that warn against using aluminium foil. How safe is aluminium foil to use for food? Well, I'm going to find out for you. To find out if aluminium foil is dangerous, let's break down what exactly is aluminium foil. Well, aluminium foil didn't always start as aluminium foil. This cheap, convenient and flexible way to wrap food first started its life as tin foil. Tin foil was a way of preserving food because it could block moisture, light and contamination. But people complained it added a tin taste to food. So in 1910, the tin was replaced by the cheaper and more flexible aluminium. At first, it was mainly used for food packaging. But in 1940, when an industrial foil salesperson ran out of pans during his Thanksgiving dinner, he decided to use the foil as makeshift cookware and was surprised by how perfectly his food turned out. And that's when we started using foil for cooking. Today, aluminium foil is made of an alloy that typically contains 92 to 99% aluminium. So, why should we be worried about aluminium in our food? This is Professor Eric Chan. His research specializes in how our body absorbs and processes foreign materials.
Lemon, tomato sauce, and let me ask you, what is this?
I hope it's coffee. Oh, it's not. It makes me think of dumpling. Black vinegar.
Yes, you're right, it's vinegar. What do they have in common?
Oh gosh. I wouldn't consume them on an empty stomach.
Okay, that is quite close to the answer. They are all known as acidic food.
There you go. Okay.
Yes. I'm sure you have come across online articles that warn against the use of aluminium foil with acidic food. This is because aluminium foil may react with food containing acid. Let me show you. Let me pour the concentrated acid into the beaker.
Ooh, I can see the fumes.
Yes. This is water.
So the water acts as a control, right?
You are absolutely right. And now I'm going to place the aluminium foil first into the acid and next into the water. What we are observing now, acid can actually react with aluminium foil. So if you observe carefully now, you'll start to see small bubbles forming.
Yes.
The surface layer is disrupted, is eroded. This gives rise to the possibility of aluminium leaching into the food when it comes into contact. If you look at the control experiment now, the foil is actually not reacting with the water.
Right. However, when I'm cooking, I'm adding heat to the food plus the foil. Does that make any difference?
Yes, indeed. Adding heat will actually promote the reactions. So in the case of cooking food with aluminium foil, when we add heat to the process, it can actually promote the reaction between that low level of acid with the surface aluminum oxide.
The acid concentration in our food is much lower than what Professor Chan is showing me in the lab. But the presence of high heat can increase the acidic reaction. Many of our foods contain acid, but some of the highest include commonly used ingredients such as citrus fruits, tomatoes and tomato sauce, vinegar and pickled dishes, as well as spicy foods, all of which can react with foil. What happens when our body ingests aluminium?
Aluminium will first be absorbed through the intestine into the body, and then it subsequently get distributed to various parts of our body, including the brain, the lung, the liver, the kidney, and also the bone. And what happens is when somebody is overly exposed to aluminium, this can lead to bioaccumulation.
What is bioaccumulation?
Bioaccumulation is a process where the input of aluminium into our body actually is much faster than its excretion out of the kidney, and gradually the level in the body will increase over time.
So it builds up?
Yes. So aluminium is actually not an essential metal in our body, unlike calcium, iron, or magnesium. So what happens is if aluminium gets into certain organs, like in the brain, it can create conditions that mimic dementia. On the other hand, if the aluminium gets into the bone, it can replace the calcium and cause a condition known as aluminium osteomalacia, which is actually a softening of the bone.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, so because it is a metal, it can actually replace certain essential metal in our body. For instance, if it takes over iron in red blood cells, then it can cause anemia.
I see. So basically, if you have higher levels of aluminium in your body, it can mess up the good work that the other types of metals are doing. Basically.
Yes, you're right.
That doesn't sound good to me.
Viewers should understand that the bioaccumulation of aluminium depends on how much is being consumed, which is the dose, how much is being absorbed, which is the bioavailability, and how much is being excreted out into the urine via the kidney, which is the excretion. So the risk comes when the dose is higher than the ability of our kidney in removing the aluminium into the urine.
It sounds like there are really many variables at play here, and the only variable that I can control here is the dosage. So I need to find out how much aluminium is leaching into our food, if at all.
Okay, Diana, how about you go and do a test, bring back the result, and we have a discussion.
Just how much aluminium is leaching by cooking with acidic foods? I'm taking Professor Chan's suggestion by conducting a test. And I've got a professional chef to help me get started.
We are doing 5 dishes that is actually very commonly cooked at home, heavily using aluminum foil. Okay, and these 5 dishes involve things like baking, roasting, grilling, and also barbecuing.
Let's get cooking. We've chosen 5 dishes, which include acidic ingredients. Lasagna with tomato sauce and cheese. Cheese is dairy and acidic. This dish is foiled to death. It's baked in a foil container and I'm going to smother it in foil. Ooh. This is gonna be a good lasagna. Baked salmon with Asian spices and citrus fruits. Cajun chicken with lots of spice and pickled onions, as well as squid with a spicy sambal sauce and calamansi. Corn, which is mildly acidic, bathed in butter. For each of the dishes, we're also cooking a version without foil as a control. Shall we pop it in the oven? All done. Thank you, John. And we will send all these to the lab for testing. The results will take a week. It's been a week since I sent our food samples to a lab to find out if the aluminium from the foil we use is finding its way into the food we eat. The results are out. I'm heading back to Professor Eric Chan to make sense of the numbers.
The results shows that except for sambal sotong here, the rest of the food type has aluminum level of less than 1.5 milligram per kg. It is a result that tells us that the level is very low.
Okay, so I suppose for users of foil like me, that's really good news. But I do have one curiosity. Why is it that only the squid or the sotong saw different levels?
Okay, so for the case of sambal sotong or squid, the level that's detected in the control where we did not use the aluminum foil is about 5 milligram per kg. This is actually quite consistent with the level of aluminum detected in sotong or squid, as it is known to be naturally occurring in squid. On the other hand, when we subject the sambal sotong to cooking in aluminum foil, we actually detected a twofold increase in the aluminum level. This confirms that aluminum has leached from the foil into the food.
So then my question is, the amount of aluminum that was detected in our experiment, is that harmful to me? How bad is that?
So the Food and Agricultural Organization and the World Health Organization, they have stipulated the provisional intolerable weekly intake or PTWI of aluminum to be 2 milligram per kg body weight per week. It's like a pinch of salt or less than that. Based on this understanding and assuming that now if somebody consumes aluminum, it is not 100% absorbed. Approximately 0.1 to 1% of aluminum is absorbed in the intestine. So assuming the scenario where aluminum is leached from the foil into our sotong, and assuming an average sotong that weighs about 250 grams, the aluminum that's found in the sotong is really very tiny. Based on this, we calculated and estimated that for an average man of body weight 75 kg, to reach the stipulated provisional intolerable weekly intake of 2 milligram per kg body weight per week, he will need to eat about 6,000 sotong per week in order to reach that intolerable threshold.
Just how much is 6,000 squids? On this table is 10 servings of squid. We'll need to eat more than 600 tables worth of squid in a week to hit dangerous absorption levels of aluminum. So can I conclude that it is generally safe for me to cook food in foil?
It is safe for the general population, but the elderly and those with kidney disease, they may be more susceptible.
Okay, why is that so?
The kidney actually functions to remove the aluminum from our body into the urine. So when the kidney is unhealthy, this excretion process is compromised, and this may lead to accumulation of aluminum in the body.
Even though aluminum foil may come into direct contact with our food, we aren't seeing high levels of leaching from our tests. This is because aluminum foil naturally has a protective layer. Aluminium, when exposed to oxygen in the air, becomes aluminium oxide. This forms a thin layer on the surface of the foil. This is what makes aluminum foil safe, because it prevents raw aluminum from touching our food. It is when heat, acid or salt break down this aluminum oxide layer that aluminum leaching begins to occur. I am so glad that our test results show that aluminum foil is pretty safe to use because I've got a lot of it in my kitchen.
Diana,
Yeah?
I think we need to look at this.
What's this?
A lasagna cell is a weird thing that happens spontaneously when you store a lasagna in a steel pan and cover it with aluminum foil. Small holes form in the aluminum in an electrochemical process called galvanic corrosion. And that galvanic corrosion leaves little spots of corroded aluminum on the lasagna surface.
Corroded aluminum in my food? That's gotten me concerned. Does this mean using foil for storage could be a problem, even without heat? Like the viral video, I'm going to put cooked lasagna in a steel pan and store it in the fridge. it will be wrapped in a layer of aluminium foil. Oh my. Look at this. It's definitely a hole in my foil. This is really interesting. Let's check it out inside. It's exactly like what I saw in the video. There's a teeny weeny bit of foil on top of my food as well. What's happening here? I'm bringing my lasagna experiment to food scientist Professor William Chen. Prof, so what's happening here?
Interesting. There's some kind of corrosion we see here. What's inside?
This lasagna, have a look.
Oh.
Corrosion of the aluminium foil, you mean?
I see. Yes. That's why you see the holes here and there. And what we can suspect is that there's a sort of a battery effect.
A battery effect. Can you elaborate a little bit more about the battery effect and how that works?
So if we look at the normal battery, be in the car or in our household appliances, we see one is a cathode, the other one is an anode. Then in between there's some electrolyte ion that create a current. So this is perhaps what is happening here. You have two pieces of metal. One is a cathode, the other one is an anode. And then in between you have this lasagna, which contains the citric acid and the salt. That is a perfect formula to create the current in between the two metals. These things sort of create certain battery effect, leading to the corrosion we see the whole day. Because of the battery effect, this aluminium is broken down from the tin foil and migrate into the lasagna now. So that's why you see stain of aluminium on the food.
So what you're saying is that this is literally a lasagna battery.
Yes, effectively, but to really demonstrate how it works, maybe we can set up an experiment to illustrate the point. Hi, this is my research student Ying Tong. She will show you the experiment.
Okay, so here we have a plate of lasagna on a steel container. So basically what is happening is that there is an electric current running between the aluminum foil and the steel container. Yeah, so I'm going to connect.
Ying Tong is hooking up my tray of lasagna to a machine, which will show us if there is a flow of electrical current detected.
Yeah, so you can see that there is a jump in the voltage reading.
I see. So there's literally some microcurrents flowing through the lasagna.
Yes, that's right.
You had explained earlier on that for this effect to happen, it takes two different types of metal. In this case, we have the foil and we have the steel container. What if the container was changed to a glass or a plastic container? Would we get the same effect?
If you change to glass or plastic or ceramic, which is not metal, basically, then you will not see this battery effect.
So to avoid the corrosion on the foil, if I don't like the taste of aluminum foil in my food, I should just avoid metallic containers.
That's correct.
That is a good tip, and I have taken note of it. I mean, I don't want to eat corroded foil along with my food, especially when there may be minute amounts of it that I can't see with my naked eye. But if you belong to a vulnerable group and your kidneys aren't strong enough to get rid of the aluminum in your body, then you may want alternatives to foil. Kurt Sombero is a chef who prefers to swap out aluminum foil in favor of organic materials to impart more flavors into his dishes while keeping his use of foil to a minimum.
So we're using organic materials that is gifted from us, from Mother Nature. So we're using green coconut. We're simmering some beautiful curry in there. And then we got here a beautiful corn that is cooked in its own husk. And then we got here some chicken wrapped in banana leaf with some mango curry inside. And then we got some sambal, stingray, that has turmeric leaf and then banana leaf as well.
Turmeric leaf?
Yes, madam.
Wow, so banana leaf is quite common, but I didn't know that you can also use turmeric leaves. So
Yes.
why do you use these organic materials?
For me, as a cook, as a chef, it imparts a lot of flavors. Organic materials, it's safe for us as well.
I can't wait to taste test.
All right, so we got here your stingray, marinated and then cooked in banana leaf and turmeric. There you go.
I wish you can smell this. Thank you. So the taste of the leaves is
Yeah.
very mild in the stingray, but it's kind of there. And it just makes it a pleasure, I guess, not just on your palate, but also for your nose because you can smell the aroma.
Yeah. An idea is that whatever foil does when cooking is to get the moisture back or within its ingredient. So basically, nature designed that with itself using this kind of ingredients.
Do you use any aluminum foil in your kitchen at all?
Running a commercial kitchen is very difficult to just switch on to no plastic or no foil forever. But the goal for me is to use less of it every single time, and then it's gonna be a habit that everybody should be able to attain eventually one day. I would suggest that using aluminum foil, it always has to be not in abundance. So you keep it moderate because obviously if you cook it in a high temperature, it's gonna leak out to the food even though you use it once, but how about if you use it every day? Just to put a barrier between your food and then the foil would be a lot better to put either say a baking paper or let's say some banana leaf to make sure that it's not touching your food because it lowers down the transfer of foil in your food.
Thanks to Chef Kurt, I'm now inspired to try using some of these materials for my cooking next time. And after deep diving into aluminum foil, I'm happy to know that I haven't been poisoning myself all these years from cooking with aluminum foil. Chef, shall we again?
Please do.
I'm going to try the prawns.